Neo is a channel that is rapidly growing in popularity, and no wonder why. It's generating millions of views every month and has over 2 million subscribers. Their videos consist of engaging animations that keep the viewer watching, and we will try to recreate some of them. We're going to cover the most recent video, and more specifically, we will cover this short animation.
Quite significantly, and they now believe the Titanic.
All this will be edited inside Adobe After Effects, and all the elements used in this video, such as these 3D objects, can be found in the description. So without further ado, let's begin. Inside Adobe After Effects, I'm going to create a new composition by clicking here, and for width set it to 1920 by 1080 and frame rate to 24 frames per second, and duration is around 18 seconds, and then click OK. Now I'm going to create a new adjustment layer, and here in Effects and Presets type Grid and drag it on your adjustment layer. Now I'm going to decrease the corner value and increase the Y value, and let's also play with the anchor point in order to zoom in a bit more on our grid. Then I'm going to create a new solid color and set it to white, and then click OK. Now here in Effects and Presets type Fractal Noise and drag it on your solid color. Here for Fractal type, set it to Turbulent Sharp, and below for Noise, set it to Linear and select this Invert checkbox. Then for Contrast, type 207, and for Brightness, set it to 5. Here in Overflow, set it to Clip, and then here in Transform, set the Scale to 27.2 and complexity to 5.3. Then I'm going to reveal evolution in my timeline and create a first keyframe here, and at the end I'm going to create another keyframe and create a one full circle. Also I'm going to open offset turbulence and create an end keyframe and the beginning keyframe, and for this one we're going to move it downwards like this. Now after you create this white solid, make a copy of it and then pre-compose it. So let's say copy, and then inside that composition I'm going to bring shape layer above it and change the color to, let's say, this bluish one, and here copy this fractal noise and remove it from this composition and bring it on this white solid here, and you will get this colored animation that we previously created. Now let's change the blending modes of these composition and white solid, so set it to exclusion and also exclusion, and inside this we're going to add a slight changes to the evolution. So I'm going to type here 20 degrees and at the end 20 degrees. So we have a slight difference between this blue and that previously created white animation. Then pre-compose this white solid and a copy, and again set it to exclusion, and here create a new mask and open mask path and reset it to ellipse and increase mask feather, increase a bit of mask expansion like this. Then I'm going to create a new adjustment layer and type CC vignette and drag it on that adjustment layer, and maybe you can increase expansion a bit more and decrease the amount like this. Next I'm going to import two 3D objects for which you can find the links in the description, so click OK. Let's decrease scale to, let's say, 1% for now, and for this x-axis make sure that you set it to 90 degrees, and for z-axis let's say this 40.4 degrees will work, and for scale let's also decrease it to 0.2 or maybe 0.1. This ship object, also click OK and decrease the scale amount 1%, and also play with x-axis, so set it to 90 degrees and also change the z-axis to, let's say, this amount here and place it wherever you want. I will place it here. Next I'm going to select a pen tool and create a straight line like this and increase stroke size to 10 and change it to this red color. And also make sure that you decrease opacity for fill color to 0. Or maybe let's increase it a bit more, like this. Then open that shape layer, and here in contents, find stroke. And here for dashes, select this, add a dash or gap. And here for dash, increase it to, let's say, this 34 value. And here I'm going to also create circle, and here increase it to 100%, and copy this red color value and paste it here in fill. And you can decrease stroke width for this one. Now we're going to pre-compose these two layers and add a glow. And let's increase glow radius to 47, and again bring another glow effect, and here you can leave it at 2 for glow radius. Now bring this composition above this grid, but below these ship and boat objects. Next, I'm going to create a new null object and enable 3D layer. We're also going to do that for the rest, so make sure that you select this adjustment layer and hold shift and select the last layer, and also pre-compose it, and also enable 3D layer for that composition. Select all of the layers except for null, and here in parent select null 1. And we will use this null object to control the movement of our animation. Pre-comp 3, I'm going to draw a random shape that is red color, and we are going to place it at this position here, so it is below the boat, and I'm going to add a bit of rotation and make sure that it is below that boat. Now I'm going to select glow and drag it on that shape layer and increase the glow radius to 40, and bring another one and increase glow radius to 28 for now. And we're going to make a copy one more time, and let's pre-compose these layers and move this composition below slightly so it is in the center. We're going to animate our null object. So first I'm going to create a beginning X, Y, and Z, and also position and scale transform options, and let's say at a 5-second mark we're going to zoom in like this, and let's add a Z rotation slightly, and also X rotation, and let's also increase the scale even more. And let's position our null object here. Then I'm going to open this pre-comp 1, and here in effects and presets type posterize time, and drag it below the fractal noise and set it to 16. And let's make a copy, and here in copy we're going to select a white solid number 2 and create a posterize time effect. Then I'm going to add a slight glow to our grid and background. So here in pre-comp 3 I'm going to drag the glow effect, and let's decrease glow intensity to 3. So I'm going to make a copy of these keyframes, and for example at this point here we're going to add slight movement, and let's position it here like this, and let's animate this boat glow. So I'm going to go back to pre-comp 3 and find it, so it is this composition number 1. So at this point here I'm going to create our opacity keyframe and decrease to 0%, and let's increase it to 100%. And for example at a 2-second mark let's decrease it to 65, and let's copy this keyframe here and paste it here, and let's finish it off at this point here. Now we create this slow appear and disappear effect for the boat glow. So what we can do is make it appear a bit more. So I'm going to bring this keyframe closer and copy this set of keyframes, and at this point here copy and paste and do it once again. So at this point here we finish it off. Next I'm going to create a text, so select a type tool, or you can use Ctrl+T for a shortcut. Let's type here lifeboats recovered, and I'm going to decrease the scale values so it fits on our screen. And let's also increase this type box. Let's maybe also decrease it a bit more. Then I'm going to change the fill color to white. So I'm going to make a composition of our text. So let's pre-compose it here and type text. And let's enable the 3D layer and connect it to the null object. And let's also play with the x-axis so we have this sort of perspective for our text. And let's add a glow. And let's change color A to red and color B to red. And let's set alpha channel and also increase glow intensity and decrease glow threshold. And for now we have this animation. Let's also add a appear and disappear effect for the text opacity. At this point here, create a keyframe, and as the end at this point, I'm going to copy this keyframe and finish it off with the zero opacity keyframe. Now our animation is going, and for example, at this point here, we're going to move it like this. And as the end animation at a 16-second mark, let's bring it as the default, so 100 for scale, 0, 0, and 0. And I'm going to copy this position keyframe and the scale. And now let's create last animation that is present in Neo's video. So I'm going to create this sort of square and increase stroke size to 7 and decrease opacity to 0. Or maybe let's increase the stroke size to 12. And let's do the same. So here in contents and rectangle and stroke, create a dash and increase dashes to 71 or maybe less, like this. And also add glow. But before you do that, let's first trim paths and create a end keyframe. And at this point here, we're going to set it to 0 and select these keyframes and press F9 in order to turn them into easy ease. And then I'm going to pre-compose this layer and connect it to the null object. And then let's add a glow. And let's add a glow one more time. And for the beginning, let's increase it to 46 for radius. What I would recommend is to bring this null layer at the bottom and then create a new adjustment layer. And for this adjustment layer, here in effects and presets, type show as time and drag it on that adjustment layer. And here decrease frame rate to 18. Now I'm going to select all of these keyframes and press F9 in order to turn them into easy ease. And let's move this set of keyframes further like this so we can see this square animation. So let's bring it closer and let's see so far what we have made. So what I would change here is to go at the end like this. And for this shape layer, I would remove a parent link and copy it and paste it here in our composition like this. And let's also decrease scale and let's move it like this. And here let's remove this one and close all of these compositions. After we preview this animation, we can move on to the last part, which is animating the count effect and creating a border. Now to finish off, let's go here in view and show grid. And let's also select snap to grid. And then I'm going to create a rectangle. So it snaps to this point here. And then I'm going to select rectangle tool. And let's snap it to this point and this point here. And let's select a white color. And let's move it one row here, or we can use Align tool to center it in the middle. Next, let's draw straight lines. And let's decrease the stroke size to 8. And let's make a copy and move it at this point here. And you can repeat this process until you create a border. So next, I'm going to pre-compose all of these layers, as well as this border. And let's add a glow, for example, like this. And let's add it a bit more. Here, let's decrease the glow radius to 5 and here to 13. So for this composition, I'm going to drag glow effect 2 times to create this effect. And let's also animate altitude and the other number. So here let's type long 50.00 for now. And let's place it in the middle. And let's decrease the size of the words and place it like this. And we will later, when we animate it, place it in this composition here. So we apply this same glow effect. So we're going to animate this long at this point here. So I'm going to use this source text keyframe. And at this point here, let's change it to 50.01. And at this point, let's change it to 0.02. And finally, let's add it to 0.03. And using the same technique, you can add this effect for latitude. And let's copy this effect and place it in our composition, and you can delete it. Now, in order to create a contrast, I'm going to create a rectangle and change the color to black and increase it to 100%. And let's place it below this pre-comp. And let's decrease opacity to, let's say, this 18. For scale, I'm going to move it so it is really at the border. Let's center it. And here you have it, a Neo animation created inside Adobe After Effects using free assets. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. All the links will be in the description, and if you want to support me, please leave a like and subscribe. Until the next time, bye.